Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for the Small Cap Insights podcast powered by Darrow Associates. My name is Jack Greenberg. I'll be your host for today. We are a leading full-service investor relations firm focused primarily on micro and small cap equities. Joining us on today's episode is Hamed Khorsand, principal and founder of BWS Financial. Hamed, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Thank you for having me, Jack.
Of course. So first question, we always like to start with a little background. Can you walk me through your career and how you ended up starting BWS?
Sure. I was going to school, very much focused on the stock market, and how I would describe it. I was going to school during the dot-com bubble, and in many ways, it's how the crypto movement is right now. You want to call it a bubble or not, but the theme of it, the interest level of it, so people now could relate. So I'm in my early 20s, 20 years old, 21 years old, and paying for school, selling computers, and my customers all wanted to ask me about my stock interests and what was the next .com that I was looking at and everything. The bubble blew up. Finding a job as I was graduating from college became impossible. The only places that you could find work were boiler rooms. Where literally that's where it was. It was, I said, well, you would just make calls. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm going to do. So I researched how to start my own firm. Went to the people I would sell computers to all the time and said, hey, I'm starting my firm. And I thought asset management was going to be the way to go. And the way I started was very much retail, mom and pops, small amount of money, and a lot more hand holding than I was trying to do. And so I disbanded that very quickly. But I had my foot in as far as what direction I wanted to go, and went the path of research instead.
Got it. So yeah, I mentioned primarily research. What are some things that you tend to look at when considering a company? Some of the green flag.
Yeah, so my primary focus is the idea going to be, if it works out in the most obvious way of it being a super bullish on it, will it work out in being a 2x or a 3x, 4x return, whatever that multiplier is? And then I walk it back. And then I say, well, what if I'm wrong? Is it going to be a 100% decline? Is it going to be a 20% decline? Because performance for me is what drives my research. So it has to work. And if it doesn't, I don't want it to be a big loser. So that's how I do the first work, and then try to understand the business as far as, does this story make sense? Is this obvious to the street or not? Why does this company not have any institutional holders? Why doesn't this company have any street coverage? Um, is the insider selling every quarter? And then you just doing normal kicking the tires thing. Um,
Yeah, I like that. So on this podcast, we talk a lot about messaging and the best way that management teams can cater to institutional and retail investors. In your perspective, what are some of those things that you think are really important for management teams to get across to potential investors?
um, the ones that the messaging that works is being consistent. The messaging has to be consistent, your goals have to be consistent, and executing on those goals have to be consistent. That's the only thing that works. The ones that don't work is when you promise too much, or you're just dangling the next thematic, hot words of the day. Um, those just don't work. They'll get you the retail flow, but they're not going to give you, the big firms and that will support the stock if it goes down 20% for no reason. And that's what you want.
So what are some of the biggest opportunities you're seeing right now in kind of the small and micro cap universes industry wise?
Yeah, each one has been different. I'm a generalist. I'll give you some here from perspective is software. A lot more companies are looking at the recurring revenue model, um, any way they can, and trying to, either structure their business to work with a recurring revenue model or, you transition some way to a recurring model. I think one of the headwinds they face is, and whenever I come across those situations, I always ask them, "What year are you in this process?" Because it's never a 1 year ordeal. It's usually 2, 3, maybe sometimes 4 years, but usually by year three you're good. The comps are better. You're trending well. You know what you're doing. So that's the one thing I always ask. On the other side of the realm is just looking at companies as to you know, finding them where if they're in the consumer environment, is it going to work with the consumer, especially given the current macro? If they're in industrials, you know, how how easy is it to purchase it? Do people actually need it? The necessity is what I was looking for. Is the necessity there for whatever specialty chemicals it is that they sell?
Got it. So social media, as I'm sure you're aware, is becoming more prevalent. In your research, do you factor in whether a company uses social media or not, and do you think that's beneficial when a management team utilizes that?
It's beneficial, and I do look at what the companies use social media for because you never know when they post anything on
Hmm.
social media versus a 8K filing or a press release. So you do have to monitor that. And that's what I end up doing.
Got it. And so, kind of last question here, and obviously, no, it's not advice or recommendations, but is there a company that you would recommend our listeners check out?
Uh, yeah, well, given all those disclosures you just provided, yeah, my la latest initiation was Inspired Entertainment, uh, INSE. So that's the freshest stock idea. About 300 and change market cap. They're in gaming. They make the online gaming content for the online casinos and so forth. They started from terminal business. They've gone interactive gaming. They have this virtual sports, product that's now, going into different markets, especially Brazil. I think that's fascinating because if once let's call it basketball season comes to an end or football season comes to an end, and but you still want to bet on the outcome of certain players or games, they could create that for you. That's what their product allows the gaming sites to do. How I came across this idea was even a greater interest to me because it wasn't an immediate like, oh, I gotta buy this. This was more like, yeah, I'll leave it on the back burner and I'll look at it. And then just happenstance of life starts pointing me to it in this way with Instagram videos telling me that, showing me videos of people gambling and then they're gambling with live dealers. Live dealers is their competition from Evolution from Sweden. And what was happening on these videos and social media was uh, people were getting cheated. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, people are complaining a lot, and I'm seeing a lot of this where the live dealer is making mistakes, and people are complaining about it because they're recording it. And I'm like, this is not good. Well, then I want to update call and see how they're inspired makes a hybrid dealer, and hybrid is basically pre-recorded, it's exactly like a video game, right? It's not real. It's pre-recorded video of a human being, and it's embedded in the game to make it realistic, just like any of these video games are. Um, but it's not live. And live dealers, you're constrained on real estate, constrained on how many people one dealer can actually, play with. And then a new regulation that's been coming out is where you have to have one of these studios up in
Hmm.
every jurisdiction the playing is happening. So you can't just put it somewhere wherever is cheapest, from a wage standpoint, and just fill it up with people. It's not going to work. So that became an issue. And so I asked for a refresher from the management. And then a month or two after that, I'm on social media and somebody on X posts a podcast of Iggy Azalea, the singer from Australia,
Yeah.
just complaining about her online casino being shut down by Evolution because of her live deals. I'm like, yes, okay. Now we have actual proof. Who knew that she had an online casino to begin with? So that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, so now you have actual proof that there's competitive pressures on Evolution from a
Hmm.
regulatory standpoint, and opens up pathway to Inspired. And they had already reported by then, I think one quarter, the first quarter, where interactive gaming was up 40%. I picked up coverage. Q2, they reported another 40% increase in um, interactive gaming revenue. So now your digital gaming is starting to ramp. They've sold since Q2. They sold their amusement business, which was basically arcade games. They sold that, so now you don't have a lingering high working capital requirement business anymore. Your debt balance goes down, and you're focused on growth with interactive, and the stocks, trading at a discount to Light and Wonder and Evolution. So, you know, that's
Yeah.
that's the idea.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'll definitely have to check that name out. And talking about recurring revenue, what's better than gambling? So
Well, yeah, then they get paid as a percentage of the winnings
yeah.
on
That's
their
really cool.
products. So yes,
Well, this has been great. Thank you again, Hamed. Appreciate you
sure.
taking the time out to be on the podcast. Everyone, just a reminder, his website is www.bwsfinancial.com. Please go and check out his website. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, our website is www.darrowir.com. See you on the next episode of Small Cap Insights, and thanks again, Hamed.
Thank you, Jack. Bye.
Bye bye.